Hey ladies and gents, SpoonyPizzas here, back with another eFootball 2023 video looking at the version 2.4 update and the gameplay fixes and adjustments that they've made. So around the dribbling, they've significantly improved the dribbling response, especially in slow moving situations such as immediately after controlling a pass or after a big turn. So this should give us a feeling of increased responsiveness overall after receiving a pass or completing a big turn, which is really good, because at the minute, amount of times I've taken a touch of the ball and then want to change direction, there is this sort of delay and you just don't have, or it doesn't feel like you've got full control of your player, and it just gives that, it should alleviate that feeling that you're wrestling with the ball all the time. So hopefully that is going to be a significant change, as they state. Implemented adjustments to mid-dribble shield commands inputs, so that a shield can only be performed when the player has the ball under control, as previously a shield could be performed even if the ball is not fully under control, which could ultimately lead to losses of possession. Now this may affect the way I defend, because what I tend to do is run into players full pelt with super cancel and then start using the shield button to create separation between their player and the ball, even when he's not really, even though he hasn't got the ball, it still acts as a shield, which gives me that ability to take the ball much easier. So it'll be interesting to sort of see how I'm gonna have to change my game in order to implement my new strategy. But it does sound like that is like a positive move overall, because obviously the last thing we'll do is press the shield button when you haven't got the ball and your player just backs away. But that's just down to a player skill issue in my opinion. But like I said, I'm probably going to have to change the way I defend. For passing, implemented adjustments so that mid-dribble kicking inputs are more responsibly reflected, which is really good, because you know, one of the things that I found is that sometimes when you're mid-dribble and you want to press the shoot button, it just would not shoot, or it would not pass, or it would not do something. And you're just like, I press the shoot button, I press the pass button, why is my player just not kicking the ball? And then you get tackled and then they go and score. That happens so many times, it was so frustrating, and I would often feel sorry for my opponent because the same would happen to them. Implemented adjustments so that when a kick input is performed just before the ball is controlled, the subsequent kick will be more responsive. So when a kick input is performed just before the ball is controlled, I have to get this into my head now. So when you perform a kick just before the ball is controlled, the subsequent kick will be more responsive. So I just assume that's going to be more responsiveness around when you press the button to kick the ball. I mean, it's like, make it plain English, Konami. Make it plain English. Implemented adjustments so through passes will now be played towards a more appropriate position, as previously they played or maybe played too close towards the receiving player. Oh my goodness. This is not good. This is not good at all. Already on PA1, the passes evade your players. Like there's no point trying to carry pass lanes, because PA1 players will just smash the through ball button and it will just go from defense to attack, and it will go past all your players because it's already calculated the line where it's going to go. That is absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I cannot believe you've made it even easier for spamming through balls like absolute noobs. So yeah, let me just read that again. Implemented adjustments so through passes will now be played towards a more appropriate position, as previously they may be played too close towards the receiving player. That is absolutely pathetic. That is so pathetic. That's going to make things worse, especially on PA1. PA1's bad enough as it is, but that can make it even worse. I'm gonna pull my hair out if that's the case. Implemented adjustments so through passes will now be played at a more appropriate speed, as previously through passes may sometimes be played in an excessively slow speed. Yes. I've had that before. I've pressed the button, I'm like, why is that pass being played so slowly across my back line? The guy runs through, takes the ball, and then yeah. I mean, you shouldn't really pass across your defense anyway, but these excessively low or slow speed through balls are a pain in the ass. Implemented adjustments to alleviate the issue of players not being able to receive a pass adequately. Doesn't really explain what the issue is there. I don't know what that means exactly, whether that means your player is going to control the ball better. Who knows? Fix the issue regarding manual pass level 1 and 2. What? I thought there's only one level manual pass. Why is there manual pass level 1 and 2? Where performing a lofted pass with the gauge at maximum towards the direction with no teammates may result in a manual pass being performed instead. I have no clue what that is. I've never come across that issue before. And like, to me, there's only one manual pass level, that's level 4. So what What do they mean? Manual pass level 1 and 2. What are you talking about? You don't even know your own game. Oh my word. Shooting, implemented adjustments so that players with the player skill, acrobatic finishing will now perform acrobatic shots more frequently in adequate scenarios. Enhancements were also implemented on the speed and accuracy of acrobatic finishing attempts. That's good to know, and that's really good because, you know, often your player would just wait for the ball to bounce or take a touch, or he would. So hopefully we're going to see a little bit more responsiveness with those with the acrobatic finishing trait. So that's good to see. Implemented adjustments so that when inputting a shoot or clear command within close proximity to an opponent, players will make contact with the ball in a more hasty manner, as previously more time-consuming animations may be selected, which could ultimately lead to loss of possession. Thank goodness. This is one of the things I really had a bugbear about. Not just the shooting and the clearing commands, but it should hopefully affect the passing commands as well, because there's so many times where you press the shoot button and for whatever reason your player would not take the shot. He would take a touch and you run into the goalkeeper, or you press the shoot button to clear and he'd take a touch and run into the striker and then they'd score. That hopefully is a huge benefit to this gameplay. We are going to find out. I will do a full review that will be coming over the next few days, so stay tuned for that, because if they don't get it right this time, I am going all in. I am not holding back. Okay, so next up is implemented adjustments so the appropriate shooting motions will be selected with regards to distance and other in-match circumstances. As previously, headers may be triggered in areas that are too far away from goal. That's really good. That's really good, because like it says there, the last thing we'll do is a header when you're on the edge of the box. Like, no, I wanted to volley that ball as hard as I could, or do a scissor kick or something. So hopefully I'm looking forward to seeing how that actually replicates in game. Fix the issue where performing a controlled shot after a kick feint may result in an excessively high speed shot. Yes it does. Yeah, I've done that many times with sort of Messi. Produce a fake shot and then followed up with a curled shot from the edge of the box, and you could tell the speed was increased. Next up is traps. Implemented adjustments to some ball control motions. As previously, players may move in a slow manner after taking a touch. Yes, that is totally right. So sometimes your player would take a touch and then slow down for no apparent reason instead of carrying on their run. Hopefully, one of the things I would like to see is when you first take that touch is the ability to super cancel and change direction like you used to be able to in previous versions of PES, because at the minute sometimes you'll play a ball to the player, and literally when you take that ball, your player literally just runs in a straight line. So when it comes to defending those situations, you just know to position your striker directly in front of that player that's running through, because you know he can't change direction. And if you could change direction, it would add a lot more of a skill gap between those that are just auto defending. You know, implemented adjustments to alleviate the issue of when controlling a sudden oncoming ball, players may take an excessively heavy touch even if the dash button command is not performed. Yes. How many times have I said this about the heavy touch outside the box in the last review? I mean, I spoke about it continuously. I said this is a brand new in-game mechanic they introduced in version 2, I think it was. And yeah, I'm glad that it's been taken out, because that was so frustrating. That random heavy touch, doesn't matter who you've got, Messi, Ronaldinho, Maradona, did not matter. Your players would just take this randomly heavy touch, usually on the edge of the box, and just run straight at the defender, or usually in defense. So your defender would just take this heavy touch, walk into a striker, and then it just leads for a frustrating experience. I'm like, who even thought about adding that in the first place? I mean, to me that's a bug, but they just said, oh, it's implemented adjustments. Obviously there's a thing they actually added into the game on purpose. Fix the issue where teammates who come forward to receive a short corner may not be able to control the ball properly. Yep, that happens so many times. The amount of times I've just played a short corner and he just like runs out for either a corner or another throw, so you had to like take that into consideration. So you end up usually just turning inwards or backwards towards your own goal. So defense implemented adjustments to the player movement speed and defense to ensure a proper game balance in response to other attacking related adjustments. So obviously, because they've enhanced the dribbling, hopefully they're going to make the defending a little bit more responsive as well, which is good to hear. Fix the issue regarding the matchup where players may move towards the ball even if the directional input is performed towards a different direction. I don't remember seeing that all too often, but I do think that is an issue, but there's probably one that just came in every now and again, because that is how I defend, so I certainly didn't notice that all that often. Fix the issue where possession cannot be retrieved adequately despite the player having their body in line between the ball and the opponent. So Fix the issue where the possession could not be retrieved adequately. Yeah, this is a problem. Like, this is where I use Super Cancel Sprint to basically take over, because so often the opposing player would be behind you and he could pass the ball even though he's directly behind me. I'm like, what? How? I've got the ball. How are you passing the ball? Like a clean pass. It's just ridiculous. So hopefully that is that's a nice fix that they've got there. Fix the issue regarding the dropping error of oncoming high balls where players may attempt to head the ball on the spot instead of jostling for position with the opponent. Yep, that happens so frequently. They would literally just sometimes not even position themselves correctly for high balls or receiving high balls. So you'd have to like literally use Super Cancel to get them to go where you wanted them. And yeah, so that should be a good fix for this game. Fix the issue where a normal tackle may be triggered in rare instances, even if a shoulder charge input was performed. So I don't know about a normal tackle, but I had a slide tackle triggered for no apparent reason when I used Super Cancel with another player. You may have seen it in the sort of live stream where I sort of rage quit in the end because he literally just wiped out a player. I didn't even have him selected at the time. It literally was the time I changed player, and for some reason Trent Alexander-Arnold just flew with a slide tackle and I just absolutely went mental at the game and quit out. So yeah, if any sort of fixes like that are going to be good. Implemented adjustments so that it is now easier to block an oncoming ball, as previously players may not be able to block oncoming crosses despite being in an adequate position to do so. Implemented adjustments to the triggering conditions of blocks, as previously players may perform blocks in unnatural body positions. Yeah, so both these are really good around, especially the crosses one, because your player would be, you literally had to position his body in the way of the cross rather than think, is he going to stick his leg out? Because 9 times out of 10 he just wouldn't do anything. He would just like literally just stand there like a statue. So you had to be so precise with the blocking, so that's going to be a lot better. But crossing is already nerfed enough as it is. They need to boost it a bit, because at the minute it's just turning into a 1-2 spam fest, and if they make it easier to defend crosses, then they have to improve the frequency that you can score from a cross. Goalkeepers, so implemented adjustments to ensure the goalkeepers will make appropriate decision to catch an oncoming ball in the air in appropriate scenarios, as previously they may elect or instead to elect to punch the ball away. Yeah, sometimes my goalkeepers do the strangest things. I've got Donnarumma, and Barry said he's really good, and I'm sure he is, and he has made some really good saves, but he's done some crazy stuff when I've asked him to come out for the ball. I hold triangle, he runs to the edge of the box, and he just like dives on the floor, punches the ball in the air. I'm like, what are you doing? Just catch the ball, pick it up, collect it. What are you doing? He's like doing a disco breakdance. Like, I'm like, dude, you do not need to do any breakdancing. Just catch the ball and then we go and start the attack. I don't need any of this craziness. So they had that. And then obviously here we've got fix the issue where goalkeepers could not dash backwards quickly enough against a high trajectory shot, resulting in a late save. Yeah, they do some weird things when going back towards goal, performing Superman saves and all this crazy malarkey. So yeah, hopefully they've toned that down a bit. Implemented adjustments to alleviate the issue where the goalkeeper may fall over after making contact with another player at the time of his saving attempt and cannot make the intended save. Yeah, that is oh my god, these are just things you just would not anticipate a fully tested and QA'd or QC'd game to quality control to actually have these bugs sort of coming out. How long has this game been out now? Nearly a year. Over a year. Crazy. Fouls, implemented adjustments for fairer foul decisions with regards to circumstances. Oh my god, please. This is one of the biggest gripes for me. When you perform a skill and you get fouled, it was very rarely, if ever, called. You could get wiped out so many times from different positions, especially in the penalty box. Like no touch of no contact with the ball whatsoever. So hopefully the fouls have been improved. They've also made some improvements to the AI, or artificial intelligence, so implemented adjustments to the positioning of players in defensive situations. So when increasing the attack defense levels, players will start applying pressure to the opponent higher up the pitch. Higher up the pitch? Are you crazy? I've already got when I play a 4-2-3-1 and I play attacking, I have 6 players in my opponent's penalty box and they literally cannot escape. You do not, I guess the defense will be pushed even higher up the pitch. Who knows? Implemented adjustments to the team play style, possession and out wide, so there are more supporting players in positions to receive passes from the ball holder, which contributes to smoother passing plays in attack. Thank goodness. possession game was ruined in, I think, version 2. It was absolutely pathetic. And like the 3-6-1 formation was absolutely pointless because you just be left with no players around you, even though you've got 6 players in midfield. So hopefully that is something I'm really looking forward to as a possession-based player. We'll just have to see, I'm going to have to adjust my game again. My tactics are going to have to change it again to accommodate what's happening on the pitch. Implement adjustments so that players who look to jump out behind the defence line will run into spaces that are more effective to the circumstances. It doesn't really explain what's going on there. I assume that's down to the goal poachers running into space and they'll just run onto the ball more effectively. Who knows? I mean, that's so ambiguous. It could mean anything. Implemented adjustments so lone strikers who look to run in behind the defence will search for open spaces amongst a wider area before making the run. That's good. So it sounds like they're going to run the channels, not just straight through the middle. Obviously, if you do want them to run straight through the middle, then make sure you've got the anchoring role on there, on that player. Implemented adjustments that players making runs behind the defences in potential goal scoring scenarios will smoothly run towards the intended spaces without decelerating unnaturally. Yeah, that happens so frequently that you have to super cancel to actually get onto the ball. Implemented adjustments that players who make a run behind the defenders will move into the spaces where opponents are less likely to be able to intercept the passes towards them. Oh my goodness. This combined with the improved through balls and evading defense or defensive players is going to be nuts. This could be really bad for the game. I think it's just going to turn into a 1-2 spam fest, isn't it? It's already bad enough as it is, but this just sounds like it's going to make it even easier. Implemented adjustments that in scenarios where multiple players are on the attack, the suitable players will make a run behind the defenders. Okay. Implemented adjustments that fullbacks, with the exception of defensive fullbacks, will make overlapping runs in appropriate scenarios. Great. I mean, everyone pretty much puts defensive on their fullbacks anyway to stop the wide players attacking them. Implement adjustments to ensure that defending players positioned in front of the penalty area during opponents' corner kicks and free kicks in deep positions, as clearances and second balls were often picked up by the opposing team. I've been saying this for the longest time possible. Like, it would be so easy for the attacking player to get on the end of pretty much all corners and free kicks because the defensive players, and especially the second balls would always be struck into the back of the net, and your players would just sort of stand there like statues. It never felt like you had full control, and you just press the shoot button and you just pray. You just pray that your player's actually going to do something. You pray that the right player's going to get selected. You pray that they're going to kick it far enough. But yes, how many times would the corner ball be kicked in and you'd head it out and there'd just be a guy on the edge of the penalty box waiting to smash it into the net? So that's hopefully going to alleviate that issue. Implemented adjustments so that when possession is lost near the team's own penalty area, the whole team will switch back to defending in a quicker manner. That's good to know, because obviously the last thing you want to do is like have your team left at the pitch. But on the other hand, I don't want to see what I saw in, I think it was version 1, where your players would spin all the way backwards and all the way forwards every time you had and lost possession of the ball. It just made the game look weird. Implemented adjustments to the positioning of players in defensive situations so that man marking will be performed in a more adequate manner. Adjustments were also implemented to the triggering conditions, distance, as well as the speed of the defensive line dropping, as the defensive line may previously drop too far back or become uneven. Yep, that was very frequent, and sometimes I would look at my defense going, why are we so disjointed? Implemented adjustments so that when performing a call for pressure and the opposition ball holder becomes under pressure, the whole team will take up positions to make further pressing even easier. Interesting. Be interesting to sort of see how that actually is impacted in the game. What's it mean by the whole team will take up positions that make further pressing even easier? So does that mean that other players are going to suddenly man mark and get closer to players in and around them? Because normally you just have to change your attack defense strategy to get that to happen. So it'd be interesting to sort of see if we need to do that anymore. Other gameplay enhancements, implement adjustments. Cursors will switch to a more appropriate player in scenarios where the ball bounces off the woodwork and comes back into play. I mean, they just need to improve the overall player switching in general, to be honest, because it's not good enough. Implemented adjustments that players will avoid oncoming shots and passes from teammates in a more appropriate manner. That's good to see. And here, because the amount of times you strike the ball and your players would just stand there like a statue and it would just cannon off their head or their body, as if they're like, well, what do you want me to do about it? Like, move out the way. Like, if I'm playing in real life and I see my friend or my colleague or my teammate about to shoot, I'm not going to just stand there and block his shot. I'm going to move out the way. Implemented adjustments that when defenders put their bodies in and successfully regain position, the player who lost the ball will not stumble in an unnatural direction. Okay, that's good to see and know, but as long as their recovery time is not super quick, because the worst thing I hate is like when you make a tackle and the person you just tackled recovers so quickly that they tackle you back. And if they don't stumble, they need to do some sort of stumbling animation or something, whether it's in an unnatural direction or natural direction. Otherwise, you're going to get this issue where I win the ball off you and you've just won the ball straight back off me to run through and score. And I'm like, wow, where's the balance? Where is the balance in this game? Fix the issue where players chasing after a ball that is going to go out of bounds may give up earlier than expected. I never really encountered that because I always use super cancel, so I'm always usually fully in control of my players. That's the only way I can get full control of them. Implemented adjustments to the calculation algorithm of added time, in particular the allotment of the number of set pieces in the algorithm, as previously added time would sometimes be too short. Okay, so it sounds like we may get even longer matches with the extended added time. And lastly, there's some global improvements. So implemented adjustments in the contract special player list, that the signing alert message will now be displayed only once instead of twice. Implemented adjustments in the contract special player list regarding the positioning of the reset option. Implemented adjustments regarding the auto pick players in the game plan under Dream Team, so that if there are multiple players with the exact overall rating, the one with the highest team playstyle proficiency will be prioritized. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Therefore, it's going to pick a player that's better suited. But it would be nice if you're like given the option, in my opinion, because sometimes you might have two players that are equal in overall rating, but at the same time, you may prefer one over the other. I think you should be given an option, but that is pretty cool that it does pick the playstyle proficiency. Implemented enhancements to online matchmaking. I hope so, because the online matchmaking is horrendous. I think the 5-bar connections are hit and miss. The 4-bar connections are hit and miss. Sometimes I get a better 4-bar connection game than I do with a 5-bar connection game. I find that if I'm the host, the connection is worse than when I'm not hosting. And I proved that by playing someone from New Zealand. I was the host. I could not stand the lag. It was unbearable. He hosted. It was fine for him, fine for me. So when I was hosting, it was fine for him, not for me. I don't know why or how. I don't know how networking works entirely. But yeah, any improvements or enhancements to online matchmaking is only going to be for the better. A variety of minor adjustments have been made to each mode and to matches with the aim of improving the overall gaming experience. Great. That's not too ambiguous, is it? Like a variety of minor adjustments. Okay, so that's pretty much it, apart from a bunch of bug fixes on the next page, which I'm not going to run through because they're just literally bug fixes and they're not all that major. I think the main ones that we're going to focus on are the sort of gameplay improvements that we've seen in these player notes. And like I said, I'm going to give you my overall thoughts in an initial playtest very shortly, and my full review will come in a few days. Be sure to stay tuned for that, because I'm not holding back. I'm not holding back on my review. If this game is not good enough, I'm going to stay it like it is. And I've had enough. They've had plenty of time. I've given them all the time in the world. I've been very generous in my reviews and fair, I believe, as far as I can possibly be. But anyway, that is pretty much it for me, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye.